beautiful.
You can't do this. Principal Warren.
I've approved Noah Sanborn to join your class. Physical education, right?
You took pictures.
Who should I show it to first?
What do you think? This is some kind of game we're playing?
I will never let you go.
Stay away from me.
I can't do that, sir.
Oh my God.
I live next door. Rated R.
And welcome back to Time About the Movies, everybody. Welcome back to January. You know, January was looking like we were finally going to get out of the dumping months that this usually is, but a weekend like this, is pretty much what you expect for a weekend in January. It's January 23rd, 2015. We've got 6 movies to look at. We are going to get to some good stuff, but we have to get to some crap, and certainly our first movie definitely is the definition of a movie that is dumped in the month of January because the studio obviously doesn't believe in it, but, yeah, because if they put this out in any other time of the year, this thing would have flopped so easily. It's The Boy Next Door, and stop me if you've heard this because it's such a revolutionary, groundbreaking story that has never been done before in any kind of psychological thriller in its life. A 19-year-old boy, played by Ryan Guzman, who, after having a one-night stand with his high school teacher, played by Jennifer Lopez, develops a dangerous and deranged obsession with her. Never been done before, ever. This is not a role reversal of something like Fatal Attraction or these psychological stalker thrillers of the past. This isn't like The Seduction or any other movie that's been done in the last 40 years. No. This is totally revolutionary and brand new, and you know this is complete another bullshit. Where do we even begin? First of all, Rob Cohen, who still can't take the hit that he's an old man and is trying to prove to everybody, no, I'm still hip to the kids. I made Fast and Furious and Triple X. Clearly, this is going to work for the younger crowd. Yeah, you're getting old, pal. It's time to call it quits. And also, Ryan Guzman, that 19-year-old boy. Yeah, guess how old he was when this movie was made? 28. He does not look like a high school student at all, and just the whole movie is just bad. It's a movie where, even if you like these type of movies and know you're going into it knowing what you're going to get, this does not deliver that at all. Everything that everybody does in this movie is incredibly stupid. Even the person that you're supposed to root for to get out of the situation, Jennifer Lopez, she's doing stupid decisions all throughout the course of this movie, all the way down to the end of the movie, where they're in this building, and Ryan Guzman's got her, like, sister, I think it's like her sister or brother trapped up in this building, and, you know, she's trying to save her. It's just like, I'll save you, and then all of a sudden, like, she starts a fire in the building. It's like, she's doing more damage than he is in this entire film. And you do not buy that this guy is so into Jennifer Lopez. Look, we get it. Jennifer Lopez is still freaking hot after all these years. I mean, I would still bang her even at her old age, but that's one other thing altogether. But you get the idea. Like you can't even buy that he is so into it. He's just it feels like he's more into the idea of being in this relationship and having the cards in his favor. Like, he's basically, you ever see those videos online where you have, you know, all these, you know, these Mitches, aka the male Karens out there who, like, bully all these women out there? That's what this guy feels like here. He feels like he has the upper hand, because if he did this to a guy, he would not be acting this cool whatsoever. Like, because the guy will obviously beat the shit out of him. But, like, it doesn't help that Jennifer Lopez is such a badly written character in this movie. Everybody's a badly written character in this movie. The whole film makes no sense whatsoever. And even if you love these type of films, like, even the Lifetime channel would go into this, would look at this movie and going like, you know, our movies are stupid, but we're not this fucking stupid. Nobody bought into it. Nobody bought into this idea. Nobody bought into Ryan Guzman becoming this next big star, because Blumhouse was really pushing him in 2015 because he was in this, and then he was also simping for younger girls in Gem and the Holograms later in the year, which that movie is a whole mess on its own merits, but all a good time. We're going to get to that later on. But why was this a success? Blumhouse. It was literally Blumhouse Blumhouse made this movie for the cheapest way possible. They shot it over 23 days at the end of 2013. It only cost them $4 million to make, so of course it's going to make its money back. I mean, Blumhouse could put out anything and it would make its money back overall. Even the films that were bombs last year were still more financially successful than most horror films were. I mean, this is a company that knows what it's doing. They may not, but they put out some good movies every once in a while, but they also put out their free share of garbage, too. And this is definitely one of those movies that is right up their alley. I mean, what I gotta tell you, man, The Boy Next Door, boy, this is a bad movie. I mean, even if you love these type of movies, even they will look at you and go, even you will look at this and go like, man, this is stupid. Man, this is too dumb even for me, So there you go. That's The Boy Next Door. So let's go ahead and continue the slop fest that we have here this weekend with a new film from George Lucas. You know, he's lost the rights to Star Wars. Disney's taken him over, and they'll have a film later in the year. But George Lucas is not giving up on creating the next big franchise. No. He tried with Willow back in the 80s. He tried Radioland Murders for it to be a success, and it didn't work. He tried Red Tails a couple years ago. But surely he's going to make it work with his next movie, Strange Magic, right?
I come in peace.
From the mind of George Lucas, only one movie
Impressive.
has more monster feuds,
Is that all you got?
singing dudes,
Hey! Oh!
and tasteful nudes
That is the ugliest creature, and it was naked.
that you can shake a stick at.
What does that even mean?
It means Strange Magic is coming to theaters.
Sound the alarm.
Strange Magic, in theaters Friday, rated PG.
No, he surprisingly made it much worse. I mean, this is a movie that is so bad. Like, here's the thing about this movie's production. George Lucas wanted to make this movie for the longest time for his three daughters. What the hell's wrong with me? 3 daughters. And he had been developing the project for 15 years before production began. And he described it as a Star Wars for a female audience. Do you see anything in this movie that screams out Star Wars at all? No, of course you don't. I mean, if anything, this movie is not ripping off Star Wars. It's ripping off other things. It's ripping off Shrek. It's ripping off Epic. I mean, if you have to rip off a rip off an Epic, then you really are not trying whatsoever. You know, Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest, Once Upon a Forest. You know, all these environmental movies here, mixed in with the jukebox music style of Shrek overall. Like, I mean, I haven't even talked about the plot of this movie, because really, do I need to say anything about this? It follows the leader of the Dark Force, known as the Bog King, who hates the notion of love and orders the destruction of all primroses, a flower used to create love potions. However, he begins to change his mind upon meeting the feisty fairy princess Marianne, who played by Evan Rachel Wood, whose heart was broken by her philandering fiancé Roland, aka Gaston, from Beauty and the Beast. I'm not even kidding, he's literally Gaston. And a lame Gaston, too. Like a character that, once you see him on screen for the first time, you don't want anything to do with him. Because at least Gaston was cool. He was a cool guy that the women loved. And he could sing like no other. But this guy, like, his idea of wooing this princess is to sing so poorly and so lazily, like, once you hear him singing, it's just like, you want to put a gun to your head at this point. It's just like, even if you're a kid, a kid would want to put a gun to his head. Like, I know that's cruel and harsh, but I'm sorry. That's just the way it is with his characters on screen. Meanwhile, the elf Sonny being played by Elijah Kelly, seems to have a love potion made, so he may make Marianne's sister Dawn, played by Kristen Chenoweth. No, that's not Kristen Chenoweth. I'm sorry, that's Meredith Ann Bull. Even though Kristen Chenoweth is in this movie, she actually was also in The Boy Next Door, too, so she has 2 pieces of garbage here. Like, give her something to do with this. Kristen Chenoweth is a treasure, man. But to fall in love with him. I didn't even finish the plot of this, but this is directed by Gary Rydstrom, who worked with Pixar before, directed a couple of shorts, directed the Hawaiian Vacation Toy Story short that was in front of Cars. He also did Lifted, the short that was in front of Ratatouille. So it's not made by hack people. One of the writers is Eileen Michi, who has written some stuff before. She co-wrote The Lion King, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules. I mean, he had a big hand in the Lion King musical. She worked on Brave. I mean, that won her an Academy Award. David Barrymon is the writer of Elf and The Haunted Mansion, the 2003 one, and The Spiderwick Chronicles. So, the problem with the movie really isn't the fact that, I mean, the people behind it aren't hacks. You can tell that they're trying to put something together here, but when you're trying to rip off so many much better projects like Shrek and Fern Gully and Epic, even I hated Epic, but I can guarantee you Epic is a much better movie than this is here. These characters are so detestable from the way they look, from the way they're acted, from the way they're just so obnoxious. Like, this thing has not one creative piece of blood in its aorta, and it's wasting a really good cast. We mentioned Evan Rachel Wood, we mentioned Kristen Chenoweth, we mentioned Elijah Kelly, Alan Cummings in this, Maya Rudolph, Sam Polito, Alfred Molina. I mean, there's so many good... There's some ideas here that could work, but for a movie that took you 15 years to put together, I feel like Grandpa Lou from the Rugrats, 15 years to put together, this is the best you can come up with. And to describe this as a Star Wars for a female audience, really, George, that's just as bad. I would even say that's probably even worse than saying, Bratz was X-Men for teenage girls, according to Avi Arad. I mean, you tell me, which one is worse? Saying Bratz is X-Men for teenage girls, or saying Strange Magic is Star Wars for a female audience? I mean, I think it's kind of right in the middle, so... But, yeah, other than that, though, this is an annoying movie, man. This is a film that not only rips off the things I just mentioned, it rips off Happy Feet, because it's essentially a jukebox musical, but the big differences between Happy Feet and this is the fact that Happy Feet at least had a story around it. It had unique stuff going for it. This has nothing. This is a film that just feels like the ideas were there for something intriguing, but there's just nothing there from the way it's presented, from the way the story goes. It's just a terrible, terrible movie that just, for a film that took you 15 years to put together, this is the best you can come up with. And it's a reason why nobody really wants to work with George Lucas anymore. It's no wonder once he got out of Star Wars, the Star Wars franchise got a lot better. I'm sorry to tell you that, people, but it's the truth. Most of the Star Wars things that have come out since George Lucas left have gotten better. Not everything's worked, but, I mean, it's better than having to deal with a film like this that feels like he's trying way too hard to recreate something, a lightning in a bottle moment, and it just isn't there with this film. Not much more to say about it, except, yeah, it's pretty much garbage overall, so... That's Strange Magic for you. By the way, they don't even use the ELO song Strange Magic in this whatsoever. Just like, it was right there. Maybe ELO looked at this and said, like, oh, maybe it isn't here. Maybe I'm just not seeing it whatsoever. But it's been a long time since I've seen this movie, and from what I remember from it, I really didn't enjoy it. So take that for what you will. So just forget I said anything at the end here. Let's just move on to yet another bad movie released this weekend, and this one... I mean, I don't know which one is worse. Boy Next Door, Strange Magic, or this last film here. Let's talk about it. Mortdecai.
Get ready for a new kind of hero.
Mortdecai.
I'm wildly interested.
Oh, excellent choice!
When the danger
Don't cause a panic.
heats up,
Charlie.
he'll save the world. Just one problem at a time.
What is that thing on your lips? Some find it quite appealing.
Oh, darling, please, you are killing me. Johnny Depp is Mortdecai in theaters January 23rd.
Clearly a movie that's trying to become kind of like a mix between the new Austin Powers and the new Pink Panther, but yeah, it just doesn't work overall. This is based off of a series of novels called Mortdecai, with this one particular taking from the first installment, Don't Point That Finger at Me, which sounds like a title you would hear from Mike Myers on Sprockets on Saturday Night Live. He was one of the stars of the upcoming feature Don't Point That Thing at Me, like that type of thing. But Johnny Depp stars as Lord Charlie Mortdecai, who's under crushing debt and goes after a Goya painting in hopes of getting out of his insolvency. You have a cast that also includes Gwyneth Paltrow, Ewan McGregor, Olivia Munn, Paul Bettany, and Jeff Goldblum. This is directed by David Coep, who did not write this movie, and it's important that I bring that up because I'll touch on that in just a second here, because he has some words to say about this film after it came out, but really, there is potential here for maybe a good movie overall, but the problem with this movie is that it is trying way too hard to be the next Austin Powers or Pink Panther. I mean, you could say what you want about the quality of the Austin Powers movies and the Pink Panther movies once Peter Sellers died, going forward after that. I mean, I'm not going to argue that overall. I like some of the Pink Panther films that came out after he died, specifically the Steve Martin films. I like those more than most people do. But, and I don't hate the Austin Powers trilogy overall. I think the first two are the best ones. Third one, probably the least enjoyable one, but still not bad. This one is essentially just a one-joke premise. It's a premise about, Johnny Depp being silly and funny, trying to be like the next Inspector Clouseau, and it just doesn't work because they're not giving him a whole lot to do in the scripting department. Let me tell you how much this movie is so forgettable. This month that it came out, there was something that happened at this thing called the Hollywood Film Awards, which was like, CBS trying to create their next big awards thing, and there was a thing where Johnny Depp got like extremely drunk on the set there, and that was more of a memorable moment that happened in that month than this film did. That should tell you everything you need to know. This thing was a massive flop. It cost $60 million to make. Lionsgate was really pushing this as the next big thing, and nobody went to go see it, and obviously why. And you can see obviously why, because it just wasn't funny. There was nothing about it that was intriguing. There was nothing about it that was hilarious. It was basically a one-joke premise, and it just doesn't work overall. And Johnny Depp doesn't usually pick a lot of bad movies. He may have picked films that didn't turn out to be what he wanted to, but, there was a period after, like, films like The Astronaut's Wife and The Ninth Gate where he was picking films that may have not been good, but you could at least see the ideas of where they were coming from. And most of them were just okay. There was a few misfires here and there, but this is one of those ones where it really felt like he was in desperation mode at this point. I mean, but then again, that's what you expect from a company that also produced one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, The Spirit, Odd Lot Entertainment. This was actually much lower rated than any of their other movies in general here, so that should tell you everything you need to know about this. Like, it's just a bad movie. It's a really, really bad film. And like I said before, David Koepp directed this movie, and it's noted because he never wrote this movie. He actually said about 7 years after this movie came out, he said, and I quote, "I only directed something someone else wrote once, and it was a misbegotten adventure from the beginning, as much my fault as anybody else's." So, this is probably one of those movies that has one of those troubling production histories, and, yeah, it made a director like David Koepp say, yeah, I admit that this thing was not very good, and then, sure enough, the next movie he directed was a film he wrote, You Should Have Left, which was actually not that bad overall. It was a film that kind of came and went during COVID, and turned out to actually not be a bad movie overall. We'll get to that one eventually in 2020, but as far as this one is concerned, yeah, it's pretty bad. It's a really, really bad film, so there you go. That's Mortdecai. So let's go ahead and try to get back on track to some good movies. There were good films that came out. Most of them were in limited release, starting with our first movie here, Jennifer Aniston starring in Cake.
I am in a lot of pain.
I can't save you. I can barely save myself.
I'm not asking you to.
If I can switch places, I would.
Do you want to get better? Say it, Claire.
I do.
Cake, rated R, in theaters tomorrow.
Needless to say, from a director that also gave us such wonderful movies as Beastly and Won't Back Down, this is probably one of his better movies overall, if not his best movie. But does that make it a great movie overall? Sort of. You have Jennifer Aniston starring as the acerbic, hilarious Claire Bennett, who becomes fascinated by the suicide of a woman in her chronic pain support group. As she undiscovers the details of Nina's suicide... that was right. As I thought they got the names wrong. Nina, played by Anna Kendrick, and develops a poignant relationship with Nina's husband. She also grapples with her own very raw personal tragedy. And for Jennifer Aniston, this is a very different movie for her. I mean, this is a film where, she's not she's playing more of a serious role, and she doesn't usually do that every once in a while, and every time she does, more times than not, it's not very good. Derail's one of those examples of that, but she's got a really good cast around her. Adriana Barraza from Babel, Anna Kendrick, Sam Worthington, Mamie Gummer, Felicity Huffman, William H. Macy, Lucy Punch, Chris Messina, Britt Robertson. A lot of good people in this movie, and it is an overall okay film, and it works mostly because of Jennifer Aniston's performance overall. I think it really is one of the best things in the movie in general. It's a performance that really does show her range overall as an actress, not just being that funny person we see on Friends and all these other comedies. It's a chance for her to branch out of her abilities, and she really does make it work overall. I thought she was one of the stronger things about the movie. And like I said, this is probably the best thing that Daniel Barnes has ever directed, after two really lackluster films with Beastly and Won't Back Down. This film in particular, I think, really does work very much to the actors' advantages. They're the reason why you stick with this film. Is it a movie I'd say go out and check it out immediately? Not really. I would probably say if it ever comes on TV and there's literally nothing else on, or if you're looking for a movie to stream and there's nothing else out there, if you find this one, I'd say it's definitely worth a watch. It's worth it mostly for Aniston's performance, but it's definitely a film that is a very mixed bag. But compared to this director's other works, it's probably his best overall film, but that's not really saying a whole lot. So let's go ahead and get back on the positive train again. Let's take a look at our next movie, which is Jude Law in the submarine thriller Black Sea.
Of Hitler's U-boats is just sitting on the seabed, full of gold.
How much gold we talking?
$182 million.
What happens when one of them starts to figure out that their share gets bigger and there's less people to share it with?
We're gonna take them down one by one.
I tell you, something about these submarine movies, man, they are really, really damn good most of the time. I mean, there's very few really bad ones. I mean, even ones that most people don't think are great, like Down Periscope, I found a lot of enjoyment out of, but, you know, stuff like The Hunt for Red October, Das Boot, U-571. Here's another one that is really, really good. This is directed by the guy who gave us The Last King of Scotland. And it's a story about the decade of hard work at a marine salvage company where a recently run-dated submarine captain, played by Jude Law, decided to risk everything in search for a fabled underwater treasure, a sunken Nazi U-boat laden with golden ingots of inestimable value. Bent on unearthing the unclaimed prize under the nose of the Russians and their hostile naval fleet, Robinson assembles a hand-picked mixed crew of antagonistic experts to comb the vast seabed of the cold Black Sea in a rusty Soviet submarine. However, as greed gets the best of the already divided team, the promise of an equal share rapidly starts to fade away. Can Robinson's men resurface in one piece and, above all, rich? And, yeah, the really great thing about this movie is that the direction of this, and just the fact that it's contained in this one large submarine, and you've got all these people around Jude Law. You have characters played by Scoot McNairy from 12 Years a Slave. Ben Mendelsohn is one of the people. Michael Smiley. You also have Jodie Whittaker in here. This is a really, really good movie. It's a movie that works from a tension perspective. It's a nice film that's not only a really good submarine film, but you can also see a lot of references, influences from other movies. Specifically, one of the ones that was noted for this was The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, Sorcerer. You even see a little bit of Raiders of the Lost Ark thrown in there a little bit. And it works because Kevin McDonald does a very good job of handling this overall. I think this is probably his overall best film he's done since the State of Play movie in 2009. And this was written by a guy named Dennis Kelly, who also, his previous project before this was writing the book for Matilda the Musical, of all things, which was adapted into a movie later on down the road. I never saw the movie, but I've seen the original Matilda numbers of times. But yeah, talk about a radical difference in film. You go from this musical for families and all that to this dark submarine disaster thriller that's also a treasure hunt as well. And it works because everybody's giving it their all in here. And like I said, the tension is very good. The atmosphere is very good. You feel like you're stuck with these people overall, and you do want to figure out how this is all going to end up in the end. Because this just feels like a disaster waiting to happen overall. And it works. It's a very good, underrated film. One that most people probably forgot about, but it's definitely one worth checking out if you haven't seen it. Black Sea is one I'd highly recommend checking out. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, and that is Anne Hathaway in Song 1.
This is something I've been working
I
on.
always heard that love was strange and painful. Painful.
My brother's in a coma.
Tangled in
I've been reading his journal. Started recording sounds he might recognize.
So why did you fly away?
You're his favorite.
Should be okay.
Since that very day.
You can definitely tell this is a movie that's trying to rip off Once and, that same director's movie that came out the year before, Begin Again, which are much better movies. This one, not bad, but certainly not great either. Anne Hathaway stars as Franny Ellis, who returns home to New York after his brother Henry enters a coma. She meets Henry's favorite musician, James Forster, at a concert, and while trying to help Henry, Franny and James form a romantic connection during their brief time together. So, it's a movie that kind of feels like it's going down the pathway of a Once and Begin Again, and it does kind of, but it's also trying to do something different from that, and I don't think it really works overall. I think there's parts of it where you could see where they're coming from, but the film overall is just kind of a generic love story between two people that, they're pretty people, and of course they're going to get together at the end. You don't really buy the love for each other, except for the fact that they're destined to be together here. Even though, Hathaway and Flynn are okay, but their romantic chemistry really just isn't there this time in this movie. Mary Steenburgen's pretty good in here, so is Lola Kirk from Girls. The songs are okay in here, but again, nothing really screams out unique and different, something like with Once or Begin Again overall. But this film, it's trying hard to be like that, and it kind of fails on that front. But not a bad movie, but certainly a film where the priorities clearly aren't there with this one here. So, yeah, a mixed opinion on this one here, Song 1. And so we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies, and just like that, we're wrapping up January already. We have 3 movies to look at the end of January. We have Project Almanac, which is a film that has a lot of high ambitions to it, and I remember enjoying it overall. I'll check it out again, see if it holds up, but we'll talk about that one. We'll also talk about Black or White, starring, I think this is a movie with Kevin Costner and Octavia Spencer, if I'm not mistaken. I guess trying to be the next kind of The Help, but of course it's being released in January, so that should probably tell you the quality of that movie. But we also have The Loft, which again, kind of like with The Boy Next Door, has a premise that, I mean, we've seen it done before, but just the way that it's presented and for the people that they have involved in this, we'll touch on that tomorrow. It's a movie where there's a lot of problems with it overall. So 3 films to take a look at to wrap January up, so we'll take a look at those tomorrow. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.